Prof. Kia ora. Prof. Hey, Shanna.
So there we are.
Yes. So there we are. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Salam, scary. How are we, folks? Hey, Doug. Welcome in, folks. Welcome in. Ginger's doing well. Ginger's doing real well. We're gonna go see him again later tonight. But today is D-Day, Scary. I'm very nervous today. Today is the day. Today and tomorrow are the days when his body starts to accept or reject everything leading up to today has been good. So today and tomorrow, quite a big checkpoint. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on him. The doctors are all there. Hello, Candace. Hello, Mike. Hello. Oh my gosh. Good to see you, Candace. As I was going to say that he's been good so far. Yeah, we took him for a walk last night. He was doing well. Yeah, we'll see. Oh, Candace. Welcome. Yeah, hopefully tonight he's still improving. He needs to take a big poo though, so we're just waiting on the poo. But that's it. That's the last little bit, you know. It's the last little bit. Hey, Cass. Hey, Cass, sorry. Welcome, Cass. Hey, Niaz. Welcome in, everybody. Okay, today we've got a few different things to go through. We've got an update on what's happening with the US and Iran. I mean, a lot of small movements. I'm going to go through some, specific developments in the region, just to keep you guys updated. I am good. Thank you, Niaz. Thank you so much for asking. Salam, Liverpool. I'm good. Thank you. Good to hear he's on the mend. Yeah, it's very scary at the moment, actually, Candace. It's today is kind of the day. Today and tomorrow are critical. And the doctors have kept him in hospital, but we'll see. It's nerve-wracking, man. Yeah, we've got and I'll talk through what's going on in Iran. Walaikum assalam, Jujus. There's been little indicators of an impending attack from America. Nephew's doing well, Jujus. He's doing well. He's recovering really well. But today and tomorrow are the big days. I'm not trying to I'm just trying to stay a bit mentally distant from it, just so I can operate. But today and tomorrow are the critical days. We're going to see him tonight again. So let's get into it, guys. Let's start with Iran. I'll give you all... actually, let's start with the side updates on Iran. Updates like through Telegram, etc., that are pretty important. So let me bring this up. I'm just going to read these out to you. So in the last few hours, the Iranian army has evacuated several sites in western Iran, and Israeli air defenses raise alert status. Okay, so that's happening. Partial evacuation of U.S. bases in Bahrain amid concerns over escalation tensions in the region. No U.S. aircraft in the Bahrain bases. So there's a lot of movement happening. Axios reported that Trump is considering issue an immediate order to strike energy facilities in Iran. The United States is closer than ever to renewing the war on Iran. After the United States, Britain has urged its citizens to leave the Middle East. Things are starting to get to that point, guys. Things are starting to get to that point. America has asked its people to leave the Middle East as well. U.S. embassies across the Middle East are issuing warnings today to American citizens regarding the potential escalation of the situation, cancellation of flights, closure of airspace, and other matters. These are the countries in which U.S. embassies have issued warnings: Jordan, Lebanon, Israel, Egypt, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. Hey, Sophia, welcome. So this is starting to spread. I feel like there's definitely a higher alert status around the Middle East right now, and we'll get the latest reporting from Al Jazeera. Remember, guys, Al Jazeera is pretty biased on this because obviously Al Jazeera is a Qatari news station, and they're being bombed. So they take what they say with a grain of salt, but I think they will give enough information for us to go with. They'll still be better than Western media, okay? They'll still be better than Western media. It's just there are going to be quirks and nuances. Let's be aware of that and dissect it. There is no Warren.
US embassies across the Middle East have warned their citizens to be prepared for unforeseen escalation, urging them to be ready to leave the region if the situation intensifies. It comes a day after the US president threatened to hit Iran very hard. On Friday, Donald Trump also said that he was losing faith in talks with Iran, accusing Tehran of lies and misinterpretation. Well, Mike Hanna is following developments from Washington, D.C.
President Trump posted several pictures of fighter aircraft on his social media page, but had no comment what the pictures meant. We simply do not know. President Trump has been at his estate in Bedminster, New Jersey, and unusually a lid was called in the early morning before 10 o'clock, which means that the president will not be leaving that particular location. We did hear from President Trump Friday, in which at a cabinet meeting in Camp David, he said that he will be hitting Iran hard, speaking in the future tense. But we've had no tangible indication that this is in fact going to be the case. The normal indicators, well, for example, the US Air Force Base in the United Kingdom, where its B-1 bombers are based, there's been no reports of any.
Yeah, I felt like it's been a while, Sufyan. Welcome. How are you?
Unusual activity there. There are some 20 B-1 bombers at that base in Gloucester. Now that is all the total number of B-1 aircraft that the US have available at any given moment. There's also been a travel warning from embassies in the Middle East, individual embassies, warning of a possibility of an imminent escalation in the conflict. This, however, is rewording, a reiteration of what the State Department has been putting out on virtually a daily basis in the recent months of this ongoing conflict. So no real indication yet from President Trump or others that an action is going to happen. But we did hear President Trump say at that cabinet meeting that he will be hitting Iran hard. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Well, Iran's former foreign minister has warned against what he calls adventurous action by US and.
Do I think it'll kick off? I just don't understand it, though. Like, America has lost. America has lost all of its objectives. Like, if you think about what they started off with, regime change, to get rid of Iran's military, all of these things just never happened. So, yeah, America has lost. But for me, this escalation seems like just burn everything down kind of thing. So I don't get the strategy. I don't understand. Thank you, Arnaldo. I just don't understand the logic, because the only thing I can really think of is Trump is just this is an ego play, and someone's convinced him that this is the way to go. That this is the way to go, and I think this is just playing into Trump's ego. But the real thing here, guys, is the risk is an escalation far beyond the Middle East. He may be trying to save face. But the risk here is huge, right? Like, it's beyond the Middle East. This is very selfish. I mean, it's America, so I'm not surprised. But the risk is escalation far beyond the Middle East. And I think they're just happy with that risk. It's I think they're so not wanting to lose that they're ready to blow everything up for everybody. And I've said this before, the West is in that position, in that precarious position, that that precarious position where the West is feeling like its back is against the wall. There is, shifting geopolitical power at the moment. And maybe the West feels like if the West can't have the world, then nobody can. And we've spoken about this, about the white supremacist nature of the West. So we just don't know, guys. We just don't know how fragile things are in the Trump administration, because, the more fragile they get, the more violent they'll get.
Israel. Abbas Araghchi made the comments during separate phone calls with the foreign ministers of Turkey, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. He says that his country is ready to respond to any aggression with decisive and proportionate action. Mahmoud Abdel Wahed has more from the Iranian capital, Tehran.
Iran is stepping up its diplomatic outreach as tensions with the United States remain high. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi held separate phone calls with Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir, Turkish Foreign Minister Haqqan Fidan, and Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan, discussing the risks of further escalation. During these calls, Tehran has warned against any U.S. military action, reiterating that it's willing to respond decisively to any attack against its sovereignty or national security. These latest conversations come alongside a strongly worded statement by the Foreign Ministry, accusing the United States of violating the ceasefire agreement by ignoring the rules governing navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, and also by directing vessels through what Tehran considers an unauthorized route. Tehran also accuses Washington of undermining the ceasefire.
Asim Munir does not want war because internally his hold is going to weaken. You mean Pakistan? Asim Munir?
By using commercial vessels to conceal military movements through the Strait of Hormuz, and by imposing new sanctions and a naval blockade, and by also launching new airstrikes against Iranian targets. Now, these latest developments come amid growing speculations of a fresh U.S.-Israeli military campaign to target Iranian infrastructure, while Tehran is threatening to expand its retaliation beyond the region.
Pakistan just doesn't want anything, man. Like, Pakistan's economy is struggling right now, and the energy shock is going to disrupt a lot of Pakistani production, and Pakistan it's the whole world, dude. The whole world is kind of watching this. Pakistan is under sanctions? I don't think so. Sanctions from who?
محمود عبد الواحد الجزيرة Tehran.
Well, Ross Harrison is a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute. He's also the author of Decoding Iran's Foreign Policy, and he joins us live from Washington. Thank you very much for taking time to talk to us. Can I ask you then?
India. Have you seen the Indian rupee? It's fucking nothing. I don't think Pakistan gives a fuck about being under Indian sanctions. Yeah. They'll only care about being under Chinese or US sanctions. No one cares about Indian sanctions, man.
What do you think, then, is Iran's long-term strategy? Do you think it is following the path that they initially laid out?
The Indian rupee is like in the dust. It's fucked. Energy-wise, the whole world is going to suffer. Yeah, exactly, Sufyan.
Well, yes, Hannah. There is a pattern that we've seen since the beginning of this war, which is that Iran understands that it cannot compete kinetically, militarily, symmetrically with the United States or with Israel. So what it's done is do its best to complicate the battlefield for the United States by escalating horizontally. And that's what we've been seeing over the last number of days is, initially it started with the Gulf Arab states, then it moved to Yemen, it's moved to Iraq, it's moved to Jordan and to Egypt. So that pattern is something.
Oh, there's another development here. Another movement, to expand US influence. The US and Israel now recognize Morocco's control of Western Sahara, just days after migrants coming from Morocco overwhelmed the Spanish enclave in Ceuta in North Africa. Commentators note that America and Israel seem poised to support Morocco, a recent Israeli ally, against Spain due to the latter's support for Palestine. The speculation follows that mass migration is being weaponized in part due to Spain's amnesty to make a point about support for the West, with Israel being seen as an intersectional issue. I've already made my thoughts on this very clear. In my honest opinion, like, America and Israel going after Europe is just the craziest way to dismantle Western power. Like Spain brings in the largest amount of revenue, or is one of the largest revenue generators for the EU. And what are America and Israel doing, because they're so butthurt about everything, is trying to like dismantle Spain. What impact do you guys think it's gonna have on the EU, bro? In my honest opinion, the colonizers focusing on each other, fighting each other, is probably the best outcome for the rest of the world. Fuck it. Let the colonizers fight, man. Let the colonizers fight. Let them waste their resources on fighting each other. Because ultimately, if they fight each other on a large scale, this ain't going to be like World War II. This ain't going to be like World War II. The global south is going to sit back and watch. Because black and brown people are sick of this shit. Just violence over and over again. The global south is sick of getting involved in this bullshit. So let them fight. Let the colonizers fight.
That is a pattern that we've seen since the beginning of the war. But I think the other important thing, Hannah, that's important to say is that what Iran is trying to do is to break out of the escalation trap that Donald Trump is in at this moment, because Iran believes that if it stays in, if Donald Trump can determine when the fighting stops and when it starts, then they lose leverage over time. And that's something they're determined at the end of this war to have recreated, which is deterrent.
The crazy thing is, America is dismantling everything, all of its soft power, in order to prove a point about its loyalties and whatever new alliances it's forming. America's destroying Western institutions. And honestly, like, go ahead and do it. Like the ICC. What the fuck has the ICC done against the West? Okay, they gave an arrest warrant to Netanyahu. Great. Arrest him. Why haven't they arrested him? Why are countries that are part of the ICC letting Netanyahu fly over their airspace? None of these international law, international legal institutions have ever, none of them have meant anything for the West. How the heck is France letting Netanyahu's plane fly through French airspace, even with an ICC arrest warrant? That is illegal. Why is that happening? Why is that being allowed? International law doesn't exist. So the fact that America wants to dismantle all of this is such a self-own. I am watching all of this going, okay, all I can see is the West dismantling itself. Oh, Israel and the US want to attack Spain? Bro, great. Dismantle the colonies, the colonizers. I don't care. Maybe this is how white supremacy is dismantled, right? They do it themselves. They just repeatedly punch themselves in the nuts. Jeez nuts.
Thank you, friends.
Which comes through leverage.
But yes, as you stress, the focus for them is on Donald Trump, but Arakchi has also stressed the country is ready to respond decisively to any aggression, but that's even within the region. So what do you think it means for Iran's neighbors?
Well, I think it means the potential, if in fact Donald Trump decides to attack energy assets and water plants and energy and infrastructure, civilian infrastructure. I think what it means is the potential for Iran not just to escalate horizontally, which is what I spoke about just a minute ago, horizontally across the region, but also to escalate vertically, which means to step up the attacks not just on American bases, but potentially on civilian targets, infrastructure targets.
Iran is going to be so ready with drone warfare this time. China is going to just be loading Iran up with all sorts of drones. The asymmetric nature of Iran's defense will be so overwhelming for the West. There's nothing to gain here. The best thing the West can do here is just realize that the world is changing and change its foreign policy to a more equitable foreign policy. Like, that is the most peaceful thing the West can do. But it's not going to do that. Like I said, I've said many times on this channel, there is no violence like white fragility.
Targets in the Gulf Arab states. I think they would do that reluctantly, but I think if they're backed up against a wall and believe that that's what the Americans are going to do, I think that's what they potentially would do. And I think that's what they've been with Al-Ghashi, Foreign Minister Al-Ghashi, has been basically communicating to his interlocutors over the last day or so.
In terms of negotiating, given that the Iranians, it's both the government and the IRGC are involved, are they aligned? And what impact is this having on negotiations?
I'm sorry, the aligned, you mean the IRGC and?
And the Iranian government. Are they all speaking?
Oh, yeah, I think that, yes. Yeah. See, and under the previous supreme leader, under Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed the first day of the war, the system was much more of a consensual system where you would have the principalists, the hardliners, and then the pragmatist, and Ali Khamenei would be the adjudicator. Right now, what we've seen since the very early days of this war is much more of a consensus-style system. And that does not mean...
Guys, I just want to let, all my viewers, everybody that comes in here, I just want you to understand that the world that we build out of the ashes of what happens in the next chapter has to be an equitable world. Like, we're not going to have many more chances to truly build an equitable world for all. We're not going to. Like, the weapons are just too powerful. Whatever happens out of the ashes of this, whether it's the West realizing that they need to move forward in a more equitable way, or the West decides to basically start a global war because it's losing power, whatever happens after this moment, we cannot afford to bend the knee to any government. As a working class, we cannot be beholden to the whims of power. The working class has to be more proactive in making sure the world remains equitable for all. We can't fall back into more empires. We can't fall back into more imperialism. We have to build something that is sustainable and something that keeps progress alive. Enough tribalism, enough. We need to dismantle white supremacy. We need to dismantle white privilege. We need to stop the race-based societal dynamics that white supremacy has implemented. But we can't bring on a different sort of supremacy after white supremacy. We can't bring on a different sort of supremacy. People are like, China. I'm like so afraid that people are going to, go the other way and go like, okay, we accept Chinese supremacy or something, right? Like, we don't want empires. We don't want empires. We don't want empires. We don't want personalities having too much power. We want the power to remain with the working class. And like, we have to think about, all of us have to educate ourselves and think about how the fuck we make that happen from the ashes of what's about to happen. Like, it can't be like this on cycles. We're not going to have much time because these people are getting bigger and bigger bombs, man.
That there aren't divisions in terms of opinions, but the ability to make the decisions is resting with a very core group. And the IRGC basically stated that a few days ago, saying, listen, the negotiations, if they take place, are only taking place under our imprimatur, with our support. So I think right now, everything I can tell from watching inside the Islamic Republic is they've come together in terms of...
Hey, Debo, how are you? This guy has a couple of cute hats behind him. Nice. That's what you noticed. Nice, Debo. Welcome, Deb. How are you? Oh, welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's so good to see all of you.
The divisions have basically come together in order to make making streamlined during this crisis.
Well, and you said that when you referred to their backup against the wall, I mean, Iran has been hit both in terms of security and economically. How far or how long are they willing to wait until they move decisively? At what point are they willing to hold back until they will actually negotiate?
Well, I think the issue...
Oh, Michael, 70 stream streak. Great streak.
Is the question is they've negotiated before,
hey, vagabond.
But I think they believe that Donald Trump thinks that just by one more turn of the screwdriver in terms of kinetic force that the Iranians will capitulate.
How many bombs does America have left? Contrary to popular belief that America is running out of bombs, what they are running out of are smart bombs. Okay, they're running out of things like Tomahawk missiles. They're running out of things like interceptors. but they have an unlimited supply, basically unlimited supply of dumb bombs. So that is, they'll just fly B-2 bombers, their bombers over countries and just carpet bomb like World War II. They don't give a shit. They have dumb bombs. They have as many as they need. So don't fall into that trap. They'll just get more violent and less accurate. They don't give a fuck.
And the Iranians will not capitulate. So I think in terms of their ability to absorb pain, listen, Hannah, for them, this is an existential crisis. They believe that they have to leave this war having recreated deterrence, because their biggest fear, they certainly don't want escalation, but their biggest fear is that they leave the war and then they've lost deterrence, and then 5 months from now, 6 months from now, the war returns. So they're determined to basically leave this war having incurred a lot of pain, but having also caused a lot of pain and a lot of chaos for the United States. And I think that's their North Star. So how far will they go? I think they're unlikely to capitulate. And I think
we have short-range missiles, a lot of them. Yeah, of course. Like, there's no doubt that the stockpiles of dumb bombs just humongous, right? Those will not, they won't lose those. The problem will be drone warfare at that point. So dumb bombs can only do, they can do wide-scale destruction, but they're very inaccurate. So there'll be a lot of prior warning before it happens. I mean, you can't have things like the Battle of Britain, where the Nazis just fly over and bomb the crap out of everyone without real warning. I mean, there's radar, there's so much shit that can see all of this stuff coming now. And there's also, I mean, Iranians have shot down and also targeted an F-35. So it's not, the skies aren't safe over Iran. It'll be different. I'm not saying dumb bombs will be enough. All I'm saying is that there is a huge supply of those for America.
I think there's a lot more room for them to go, because they don't have a plan B. So they're gonna go to the mat on this. I think this one, what that means for the region and for the war in the United States at this point is remains to be seen.
Ross Harrison, talk just there from Washington D.C. Thank you very much.
Yeah, totally, Perky. What was I trying to get going next? Yeah, so Iran is definitely progressing into like a really bad place. We're gonna look at some American politics now.
New follower detected.
Larry XX1, welcome. Thank you for the follow. We're gonna look at some American politics now. Like, you got to understand, the chaos outside of America is going to be because of the chaos inside of America. Like, chaos breeds chaos. If there's chaos outside, that chaos will come into America. So we're gonna explore the dynamics of both. You went to sleep. I was watching you, woken up, and I'm still awake watching you. Tani. Yeah, it happens because of the time zones, I guess. That's some dedication. Thank you. So all of these things are very symmetrical in nature. The government is just a chaotic government in general. Thank you so much, Flashpoint. Okay, so this is how they're reporting on Mamdani taxing the rich. Iran has won this war. We need to get the hell out of there. Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of Americans just want nothing to do with this anymore. Went to sleep, woke up, then went out. Auntie Wash, salam. I don't think Americans want this, because I think most Americans see that this is lost.
Wealthy New Yorkers, at least those that haven't run away yet, better look out, because New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's administration just published a searchable database of property owners who could, and the emphasis is on could, fall under
dehumanization overseas. equals dehumanization within your borders. You see this, America? You cannot disconnect yourselves from your foreign policy. I hope this is the lesson Americans learn from this moment in time. The moment you green light a violent foreign policy, a foreign policy that includes the dehumanization and oppression of people outside your borders, it will come home. Hey, Richard Wells, thank you for the follow. It will come back home to roost. And you will get the New York Post writing racist, bigoted, dehumanizing articles like this about a brown man, a Muslim brown man, who is doing some incredible work in New York. You have to prioritize your foreign policy, America. You have to. This is as a friend, I'm telling you. Am I a friend of America at this point? I don't know. But as a friend, I'm telling you right now, if you do not prioritize your foreign policy, it will come home to you.
The state's new pied-à-terre tax covering every non-primary residence in the 5 boroughs worth north of $1 million. A spokesperson for the city's Department of Finance tells Fox Digital the publication of the property roll was required by state law. Now, Kevin, I see something very sinister going on. Mamdani knows.
I remember when you were doing the files every day. Oh my God, what's up now? Hey, you can join our Discord group. We've built a platform basically to allow everybody to access the files in a structured way to get into more investigation. I'm just not live streaming a bunch of this, but we have administrators if you want to join in. You can definitely join into our Discord. We have not forgotten the Epstein files. Like, I spent a fair bit of time building a tool for the community. So check it out. Spend some time in there. We have a fair bit. We have 1.4 million PDF files uploaded into the platform. So yeah, there's a lot of coverage. I don't think it's being used as much right now. I think people are obviously, there's a lot going on, but over time, I'm hoping people will get into it. Why am I the noisy immigrant? Oh, once I was having a political conversation in New Zealand, Aotearoa, New Zealand, with this dude I was working with, and he didn't like my opinion. So he called me a noisy immigrant to try and shut me down. This is what happens to immigrants in Aotearoa, New Zealand, when they want to get involved in politics. So I just kept the name. Like a Gmail, it's a little different in that you can analyze things. I'm happy to quickly go through it in a little bit. Stick around. Hey Beth, we're just going through some news at the moment. Hey Darlene, kia ora. Who is Epstein? Noisy immigrant was that guy's way of saying uppity N-word. Yeah, exactly. Like, just own it.
That he can't use the New York City Police Department as kind of a red
call us
guard.
The N-word.
As long as we are still a constitutional republic, he can't do that. But he still can stir up the mob. He can still, he's publicly said.
Was Epstein's main purpose to destroy others' reputation? I think blackmail was a huge part of what Epstein was doing. And actually, we have evidence that that the FBI knew that Epstein was blackmailing. Darlene, we're good, thank you. I'm great, and Fano is doing really well. We're our boy Ginger is recovering, and today is quite a big day for him. So yeah, I'm feeling positive today, but also very anxious.
He wants demonstrations outside, and we had horrible demonstrations.
I should change my handle to Big Mouth
anti-Israel,
Italian.
anti-Jewish, I would add.
Heck
demonstrations a couple of years ago, closed Grand Central, etc. Isn't that what he's about? He's just trying to stir up the mob here by
Is he home now? No, Fudge. He's still at the doctor's. He's under supervision, like high supervision. He's still not out of the woods. He's not out of the woods. He's still very much in danger. The next couple of days are very important.
Boxing some of these people. And we should mention, some of these people don't even qualify for being on that list.
100%. I think this is entirely politically motivated. Obviously, the policy is terrible just from a substantive standpoint. The doxing is terrible. If any of you have been doxed, you know that's not a fun thing to be on the receiving end of.
More, but I think every photo they were smiling for it. Noisy isn't a positive thing, isn't it? Why? Why isn't it a positive thing? Do you not like noisy things? Do you not like noise? I think Twitch is the wrong place if you don't like noise. Yeah, but Twitch is the wrong place. Like you're literally coming into a political opinion channel and saying noise is a bad thing. You're doing exactly what the racist was doing.
He should have been much more careful as the mayor of a city with a lot of VIPs about that. It's a very big issue for us at Heritage. But the real key, I think, David, is the political side. And I'm going to say something that might be, at least on the surface, a little heterodox. I don't think those of us on the right take this guy seriously.
So there we are.
Enough. I think he's dangerous. I think he's smart. I think he's smarmy, and all of those things that rub us.
Literally worst platform for silence enjoyers.
Thank you, friends.
This is one. Is it Larry XX1? I believe. I believe this is for you. What are you doing? Why are you going around channels telling people noise is bad? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Why would you come into someone else's channel and act like this? Are you an attention seeker?
They don't know what the they're doing.
Or are you
head of Mossad?
That's the wrong way. But my concern is this. Every poll after poll this year shows that when you ask Americans the open-ended question, what are the issues?
I think Larry is from LinkedIn. He saw my profile, and Larry didn't like it. Larry could actually be my brother. Imagine, my brother created a Twitch account in 2019 to keep track of me. Larry, are you my brother? Do you work at Air New Zealand, Larry?
Issues that matter to you. A majority of voters 18 to 34 in age say housing and affordability. A majority of male voters 18 to 49 say housing and affordability. I'm not at all suggesting that Mamdani is the answer to that, but as we persist in Washington especially, but in some state capitals on the political right, without a robust, ambitious, even audacious alternative as conservatives.
The guy's upset because I'm a 40-year-old with the soundboard.
Globalized intifada.
Let's go. I would much rather have a soundboard than an anonymous racist account on Twitch.
To what Mamdani is offering on housing and affordability, we are going to get our clocks cleaned. It's time for policymakers.
Jackie, though, it really does concern me where he wants this to go and where he has the capacity to take this. In Nicaragua, for example, the Sandinistas had things called turbis divinus, the divine mob, that they would use. It was not judicial. It was not part of the government. It was very, very kind of haphazard, but they'd use it to target political enemies. Doesn't it sound like this?
It sounds like that, and it feels like that. And there's part of this that to me is kind of going on the border of wealth confiscation, because you're going to have certain people that are not residents here that might get flagged in the system. They're so wealthy, they're just going to pay it. But there are going to be a lot of people that are mistakenly flagged in this system too. And what happens is this is a shoot first, ask questions later kind of policy from this mayor. So he's going to
oh shit, shoot first and ask questions later. I thought they were used to that. God dang. We in Merca, we don't ask no question. You hear me? You hear me, boy? We don't ask no questions. We pull out our weapons and make them talk. God dang. We America. We ain't asked no questions. Motherfucking. We shoot first. God damn it. We don't take no silly advice from nobody. I go to the store. I buy me a pew-pew. I buy some bullets, and that's it. That's who I be. God damn it. You want to ask me questions? Well, you better be ready with some body armor. Because god dang, I ain't asking no question. Kalina, stop touching your cousin, god damn it. That boy. Just constantly just touching his cousin. God dang.
shoot first, and if it's a mistake, the burden of proof is on you, the citizen, to fight him. Mm-hmm. Now, I have disputed things with the Department of Finance before. It is a very obtuse, difficult process that will literally drive you mad, and it will go on for years and years, and then they will tell you, if you can't handle it, go hire an attorney. So now you have to spend money to go hire an attorney to fight them for some more years. It's really unfair to put the burden on people who want to dispute this. I've read up about this, exactly how they're doing it. The deadlines are unrealistic. You were supposed to have gotten a letter in the mail already, and you've got till August 24th to come up with, to understand, to navigate the system, which I tried to do today and is nearly...
Did that guy ask me to go back to New Zealand? Bro, let me say this. I would. America is the last place I want to go. Oh, and India? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I expected that because he's obviously an Asmongold-loving racist, you know? I expected that. But go back to New Zealand from America? Bro, why the fuck would I be in America? If, like, I have choices, and why would I willingly make a choice to move to America from anywhere in the world?
Impossible. File your appeal and then be able to correspond with them. And by the time they look at your appeal, the billing will have already been done. So I don't even know how that works. You have to pay and look for a refund. The whole thing is a nightmare.
Yeah, it's Brian, it's class war. He is trying to light the fire of a class war here, right?
Yes. So there are way more.
He's trying to light the fire of a class war? Whoa! They're afraid of a class war, everybody. Let's go. Oh, my gosh. They're talking about class war on Fox Business? Woo!
Globalized intifada
Oh my gosh, they're talking about class war on Fox, everybody. Oh shit, they're really scared of Marxism. We're gonna make you Marxist. Fox Business, we're coming for you. Yeah, day. We're the woke right. You're gonna be wearing my Karl Marx t-shirt very soon. Some bitch.
Names in this list than we thought, right?
Yeah.
And we thought, well, maybe that's an accident. You know, he just kind of cast a wide net. I don't think so, because I think the whole point of this thing is to target people who are independent. They're financially independent and they think independently, and he wants them out. So I don't. Your house is worth $700,000 in Staten Island. You probably have some level of independence. Goodbye. We're gonna.
Bro, on Staten Island, I bet you no house costs $700,000. It would be like, your house costs $2.5 million. Goodbye. Blah. Which house on Staten Island costs $700,000? Can someone fucking tell me? I don't even know the prices on Staten Island, and I know this guy's full of shit.
I put you on the list. You get out of here. It's not the $5 million house. He wants to kill independence because people.
A groovy hot rod. You bill yourself as the noisy immigrant. Nosy immigrant? Why do you go nosing around in other people's business? Because those other people are mass murdering children. The moment America stops mass murdering children and stops fucking around in other people's countries, I'll stop. The moment I have to stop putting up with American feelings, the United States of American feelings, I'll stop. I'll stop talking about America.
Who think independently fight government control, and he's all about government control.
I want to talk to a lawyer for a second. I mean, you're one as well, Jackie, but the fact is that you really, there must be some legal alternative to what's happening here. I mean, doesn't some of it strike you as illegal? What he's trying to, at the very least of which is you're innocent until proven guilty.
I mean, some of this reminds me of how there are a lot of lawsuits around the California wealth tax because it's retroactive and they, you know, I think they're going to try to put it to a vote and hopefully have Gavin Newsom. I think he wants to veto it, right? Or he already did. So I don't know the way New York City law works, if this was supposed to go through voters or if he can just say, here, we're doing this. The only thing I'll give him a little credit, and I don't want to give them too much credit, if you want to appeal it, you just have to show a lease and a utility bill.
Taylor?
I know.
Showing them that and getting them to recognize that is nearly impossible. Okay. I've read about this for other issues. People have been fighting the city for years while they continue to bill you for things that you're entitled to. And it is incredibly frustrating.
It was bad before Mamdani. Now you have the head of housing, a woman who has said that private property is white privilege.
They purposely make it frustrating so you go away.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Who the fuck is this guy? Hold on. Hold up. We've got a crazy white supremacist in chat. Let's check out their channel. Let's see what they like about clips. Videos. Oh, look, 11 followers. 11 followers. What do they do? Sup. Yeah, this person seemed like a dumb cunt. How about we just leave them? Here's Trump's catastrophe. Voter fury, Dem socialism's rise, and more.
Trump is heading towards an electoral black hole. I feel like this is like one of those magician's tricks, right? Where the floor just falls out beneath you. And that is exactly what is happening with President Trump. Kate off on the side laughing there. Trump's approval hits term 2 lows all out this week. You know, you mentioned the CNN poll, 34%.
I think Chips has moved from TikTok to Twitch.
You think that's all? How about AP Newark? 33%. You think that's all? How about Quinnipiac University? 32%. So you look at it and you get 3 different pollsters all saying that Trump is hitting term 2 lows this week. In fact, Quinnipiac, I believe that is an all-time low for him. And the CNN poll, as you were mentioning, Kate, that is tied for an all-time low for him. So is there a bottom? It does not appear to be, to me, that there is a bottom for President Trump.
Compare this to history for me, please.
Yeah, okay, so we'll compare it to history. Let's compare it to the other presidents who got a term 2 in the 21st century. You could see it right here, and I'm averaging CNN, Quinnipiac, and the AP. Look at this, approval, 21st century presidents. At this point in term 2, you average them out, you average out CNN, Quinnipiac, AP, you get 33% for Trump. Obama wasn't too hot to trot, but he was at least at 41%. How about George W. Bush? The Iraq War was raging on back then during the 2006 electoral cycle. He was still at 38%. Trump is at the lowest of any president at this point in term 2 for a 21st century president. You have to go all the way back to Richard Nixon to find a lower approval rating at this point in term 2. And of course, Richard Nixon was resigning in about a few weeks at this point in 1974. Not the comparison you want to be making if you're Donald John Trump.
What is behind his historic low? What's driving it so low?
Yeah, what is driving it so low? Well, what was the reason that President Trump got a second term in the White House? It's the economy. We just keep going back to the economy. I feel, you know, like we're on antenna TV. We're playing back the oldies, playing back the repeats. Economic approval. Okay, take a look here. Where's President Trump at this point in term 2? Just 30%.
You see how he stopped talking after I said it's chips. It's that guy again from last night. That same guy has come back on another thing. Bro, I'm gonna have to like sort this fucking dude out, man. I'm really gonna have to sort this fucking dude out. Mods, just make sure that you are aware. Just take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of that guy's account. Just make sure you get the details. Because yeah, I've had a chat with some people. We'll continue to keep a track of him again. I've got a whole bunch of his accounts. Let's just keep a track of him because this idiot isn't gonna let it go. So please, just make sure when an account like his comes into chat, just block them and take a screenshot. Block them and take a screenshot, please. And yeah, we'll definitely get to them sooner or later.
Just 30% approve of the job he's doing on the economy. Obama was at 38%. George W. Bush was at 38%. These guys were doing terribly, but he's doing terrible, terrible, terrible. You know, trying to do my best Charles Barkley here. I can't really do it this early in the morning, but it's just absolutely awful at this point. No wonder President Trump is at historic lows for a term 2 president at this point and matching, if not exceeding, his term 2 low already. It's simply because people are not pleased with the economy, and when you're not pleased with the economy, you get the good old-fashioned boot. Young voters are fed up, and they're taking their anger out on President Trump. We'll start off there. Take a look here. Voters under the age of 50 on Trump. In the fall of 2024, Kamala Harris led in her polling by just 3 points. Look at what...
You're missing context. Yeah, so we have an online stalker, basically. The Noisy Immigrant has an online stalker. This guy has created, he lost an argument. He lost an argument and he hasn't been able to like let go of it. And he keeps coming back, creating different accounts, and he keeps coming back. And this is over 5 months, over the last 4 to 5 months. Over the last 4 to 5 months. Wait, this is the guy from a while ago? Yeah, that's him. That from a while ago. Yeah. He got absolutely washed, and he's a Kiwi dude. An absolute snowflake who cannot understand when he's lost. He doesn't like people talking about white supremacy. He felt extremely fragile in that moment. And when I even let him come up to the mic and speak. He came up to the mic, spoke, lost, and just hasn't given it up. The good thing is I have his picture. I know who he is in real life. We are now. Wait, he Maori or European? European, man. Maori people don't do this shit. It's white people that do this shit. And this is, it's getting to a stage now where it's like, it's got to be, police are gonna have to come into the fold here, because people like this, you never know what they're gonna do. But yeah, over 5 months, guys. Over 5 months they've done this. Is he old or young? Middle-aged? Yeah, he's probably about my age. He's just not been able to let it go. Yeah, because a white supremacist stalker is really dangerous. Yeah. Just the most ridiculous fucking person. How do I know who he is IRL? We found him. Mods found him, found his YouTube channel, and he'd uploaded a whole bunch of videos about himself and his family. And I downloaded all of them, and I kept them as evidence. And I know who he is. I know who he is.
Where Donald Trump is. He was within 3 points of Kamala Harris. Now his net approval rating on the year and the average of CNN polling, look at that, minus 41 points. That is a shift of 38 points away from the President of the United States. He is falling through the floor. If you look at the trend line among voters.
Mods, I just want you to keep an eye out for people who come in. If he won't come in on TikTok anymore, because I know how TikTok allows you to find locations of users. TikTok allows you to find locations as in which country an account is from based on their username. He is in Twitch. Yeah, he's on Twitch. His account got banned. We blocked his account, but he'll come back on a different account. He'll come back on a different account. He's figured out Twitch can't track location like that. You can't track country. So please be aware, mods. Please be aware that if a person like this comes in, what I need you to do is to block this account. If you block that account, yeah, Matt, if you can help me with that by submitting a ticket or something, that would be incredible. Block his account, take a screenshot of his account that he used, and post it in Discord. And we'll compile all of this information, and I will get a police report going.
Over the age of 50 or 50 and older, the shift that we've seen amongst them against President Trump is less than half that. In fact, it's under a 15-point shift.
Yeah, I did some research around New Zealand law, and the legislation has been changed recently to include online stalking, and it's very clear. It's repeated, especially when we've been clear that we don't want, blocked his accounts or whatever. Repeated harassment and repeated abuse, like racial abuse that the guy gives me. He kept talking about nosy immigrant and this and that. He's told me to go back to India. He's told me that I shit on the streets. Like, this guy is a raging racist. So just be aware. Yeah, the guy from earlier today. He was in Twitch just now. Just be aware, guys, that can we mass report him? I think absolutely you can, but he keeps creating new accounts.
So the reason why President Trump is so unpopular at this point is the shift among younger voters, those under the age of 50, your Gen Z, your millennials. They gave President Trump a little bit of a
the scary thing is he's from New Zealand. Yeah, he's been on YouTube as well. This is the other thing. This is the other thing about the law in New Zealand is if he's being blocked on one platform and he's going to other platform and doing things, that is a clear sign of online stalking, and it's happened over 5 months. So this guy isn't leaving me alone, and there is clear legislation against these stalkers and abusers. So just make sure, guys, that if you see someone in chat who fits the bill, go check out their account. If you can find the location as New Zealand somehow, find it and screenshot them, share it in Discord, because all of these people are insane. And I just want this guy on some sort of police watch, because fuck, bro, for 5 months he's kept this up. And I think now it's getting close to 20 accounts that we've blocked.
Try in 2024, no longer. He is down there, right there underneath the ocean floor.
How does that translate to when you're looking at Congress?
Yeah, okay. So obviously President Trump is not on the ballot this year. But if you're a Republican in Congress and you think you're going to escape the unpopularity that President Trump has amongst younger voters, you got another thing coming, because just take a look at these shifts. Okay, in the fall of 2024, the choice for House margin, Democrats were leading amongst those under the age of 50 by 4 points. Look at that lead now, though. Look at that lead now. It's more than 4 times that, a double-digit shift. Their lead is now 17 points. Look at those 50 and older. Look at that. Republicans led by 8. They now lead by 6. Basically the same. The reason why Democrats have been able to jump out to this lead in Congress, the reason why that they are likely to take back the U.S. House of Representatives is not older voters. The key game that has shifted here, the key play that has shifted here, is younger voters. Those under the age of 50 are taking out their anger, it seems to me, that they have against President Trump. They're going to take it out against Republicans in Congress this fall. This is a titanic type of shift away from the Republican Party and to the Democratic Party.
A generally believed predictor, of course, in how things will pan out is the enthusiasm gap, if you will. So the most motivated voters, the people most excited or most, excited to turn out in the midterm.
Just so you guys understand, if you weren't here a few hours ago, I was talking about my story where someone tried to impersonate me, and they created one of those impersonation accounts, but they used my son's picture as their profile picture. That's happened to me as well. So yeah, these people are very, very open to endangering people's lives. Yeah. So and I filed a police complaint at that stage.
How is this looking?
Yeah, younger voters are as excited to turn out for this midterm as
How did they get that? I had a picture on LinkedIn with my son on it. I locked down all my, as much as I could, I locked down all of my social media accounts after that, and took down my son's images and stuff. But you can't avoid it, you know? Like, your kids' photos and stuff go online. So instead of like being scared of it, you know, I've learned to just deal with the fact that these people exist. I just need to make sure my environment is safe. I'm gonna have loads of people come after me after the platform we're about to launch, going after holding corporates to account. Trust me, it's gonna get worse. But I'm okay if it's against me. But when it becomes about family, that's next level.
I am. Every single morning I appear with you as I bam off the screen, to quote Emeril Lagasse. And these are bam numbers. I mean, look at this. Voters under the age of 50, the choice for the House, among the extremely motivated. You know, you go back to the fall of 2024, Democrats only had a 2-point lead amongst them. Look at this lead now in the 2026 average. It's a 46-point advantage among the voters who are most likely to turn out, because midterm elections have lower turnout than presidential years. The extremely motivated is a very key. That's wild. This is
wild.
This is a wild shift. Taking the words right out of my mouth. We're talking about a 44-point shift amongst those who are extremely motivated to turn out and vote. These are the types of numbers that blue waves are made of. And if there is a blue wave come November, it will be because of voters under the age of 50, younger voters who gave Republicans and President Trump a try in 2024. They are doing a 180, and they're saying, you know what, we're going back to Team Blue, at least in the polling we see so far. Trump's net approval rating on inflation, our latest CNN poll that has been coming out over the last few days, the net approval minus disapproval, 50 points underwater. I looked back at every single poll before President Trump that asked about inflation and the approval rating of the president. There has never been a president before President Trump who had ratings this bad, at least 50 points underwater. That's an over 50-point shift from where we were before the election, where, of course, President Trump was more trust on inflation than Kamala Harris, which is why he got a second term.
Honestly, that is an insane. Have you seen down 50 point anything?
No, only on gas prices, which, of course, is part of this equation, right? I mean, as I said, laughably bad. You just don't ever see numbers like this.
All right. So when you give us a sense of why they're blaming Trump, I mean, it's kind of obvious.
But why? I mean, just take a look at the cost of living direction. On the cost of living, the country is on the wrong track, the right track. Look at this. 70% of Americans say we are on the wrong track when it comes to the cost of living. Even among Republicans.
Kamala seeing these numbers. Now's my chance. Oh, yeah. I'm running. I'm not fucking leaving.
Even among Donald Trump's own party that sticks with him through thick and thin, the plurality, 50% of Republicans say we're on the wrong track when it comes to the cost of living. Just 38% say the right track. No wonder that President Trump is putting up historic numbers in the wrong direction when it comes to inflation.
So what does this tell us about whether the prediction markets think that this is going to lead to an inflation hike by the Fed?
Okay, so I think there are two things that are going on here. I'm going to give you a little bit more information, and then we're going to do the Fed hike. Take a look here. I mean, just take a look when it comes to, lowering prices. Trump's focused too little on lowering prices. We're talking about 78%. 78% of Americans overall don't think he's focused enough. No wonder his numbers are so low. Even among Republicans, it's 58%. It was just 48% where we were at the beginning of Trump's presidency. So among Republicans, we've crossed the 50%.
I don't think any American should be trusting any of these numbers, because I think racism is stronger than all of this shit, because people will still vote for Donny Boy because of his white supremacy and his racism. Just be careful. Just be careful how much you trust this. You can't rest on these numbers. You just can't.
50% threshold. Overall, it was already 2 and 3. Now it's about 4 and 5. And of course, this is the key question, right? Will there
racists need healthcare too? No, they don't give a fuck about healthcare. Are you kidding me? What do you think? Racists voted for Donald Trump in 2016 when he ran on ripping up Obama's healthcare stuff. They don't care about healthcare, man. They care about white lives. In America, by the way, read about read a book called White Fear. I've spoken to you guys about it. White Fear, written by an American, a black man who used to work for CNN, and he wrote what's happening in America at the moment. Hey, Lindsay, welcome. And he speaks about how white America is super fearful of the fact that in 2043, America will be a majority country. That is, there'll be less white people in America than minority groups combined. Right? As a percentage. And this is at the core of white fear. And it's such an important thing to understand. What the hell was that sound? Yeah, Roland Martin. Yeah, correct. Thank you so much, Oh So Political. I finished that book very quickly. It's very easy to read. They're like 110, 120 pages. Read it. Understand the moment you're in America right now.
In fact, be a Fed hike when it comes to interest rates, which of course would be a sign that they think inflation is bad. The chance that the Fed raises interest rates in 2026, you go back to February 28th, it was just a 13% chance. Look at where we are now this year, a 64% chance that the Fed does in fact raise those interest rates, which is...
Sorry, it was Discord. It was Discord, guys.
A sign that they're worried about inflation, just like the American people are, at least according to the Cauchy prediction market.
Yeah, and he's being a little, the Fed chairman is being a little bit different from other Fed chairmen. He's a little mysterious.
A little vague, which is something I never am. And these numbers certainly are not. Minus 50 points. Historically bad, laughably bad.
Truest thing said today that Harry Enten is never vague.
Ever vague. We've seen those Democratic socialists really thrive in big urban areas, right? New York, Pennsylvania, you go out to Colorado. Well, it's no longer just in the urban areas anymore, at least according to the Cauchy prediction markets. We got a Wisconsin Democratic primary going on. We got Hong, who is running, who is now, in my opinion...
Where the heck did it come from? Oh, is it? Oh, Matt! Is that you, Matt? Is that you, Matt? Oh, my gosh.
Thank you, friends.
That's Matt. He's playing these sounds. He's playing these sounds on Twitch. Oh, shit. Nice, Matt. I was confused. I'm like, is it Discord? What do I need to close shit? Like, is someone controlling my PC? What the fuck is going on?
Opinion, the clear favorite to win that Democratic nomination. She's a Democratic socialist. Her chances up like a rocket. On June 30th, it was just 41%. Now a 96% chance to be the Democratic nominee in Wisconsin, a Democratic socialist according to the Cauchy prediction markets. So this is not just happening now in New York, Philadelphia, Denver. It looks to me like it's going to be happening in a place like Wisconsin, which of course is a very purple state.
Which it all works with each other, right? You've got the wins in various places. You've got this chance of winning here in Wisconsin. You have the polling then on how many people identify as Democratic Socialists. It seems just like there are wins for Democratic Socialists all over the place. What do you see in it?
Yeah, what do I see? I think there's this idea perhaps in Democratic circles, oh, they're coming in from the outside.
Living in America as a person of color feels like living inside a Nazi documentary. Yeah, it's, same in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Honestly, like, you're surrounded by, especially if you're online. I think online in particular, like, you got to be, the thing that worries me is that all these anonymous accounts online, it translates into, they are real people. New Zealand's a small place. And about 62% of New Zealand identify as European. So you got to be careful. That fragility can really be a worrying thing.
No. The call is coming from inside the House. It's your own voters. Just take a look here. Voters identifying as Democratic Socialists. When you look at self-identified Democrats, and we're talking about voters, we're talking about 41%. 41% of self-identified Democratic voters. It's not coming from outside the tent because just 20% of Dem-leaning independents actually identify as Democratic Socialists. These are Democratic voters. These are people who voted for Kamala Harris. These are people now where we're talking about a little bit more than 2 in 5 Democratic voters who identify as Democratic Socialists.
And are they voting? Like, what about turnout?
Yeah, what about turnout? Motivated to vote. Just take a look here. Okay, Dem-leaning voters voting in 2026, extremely motivated. 66%.
Whoa! The third party in America is here? It's the third party. DSA, 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 DSA. Woo! DSA, let's go. Yeez nuts. Whoops, wrong button. Wrong button.
Hooyah, Navy.
Yes.
Hooyah, Navy. Hooyah, Navy.
I can't. He's
of Democratic Socialists, self-identified, say they're extremely motivated to turn out and vote. That is higher than the 57% of all others of Dem and Democratic-leaning voters. So these are people who turned
Rhyme. I know they're part of the Democratic Party, man. But the Democratic Party hates the DSA. This is what's happening. Like, you got to understand why I'm saying they're the third party. Have you looked at libs fucking freaking out about the DSA? Have you been watching libs who are basically reaching to, it's not infighting, it's fucking racism. It's the Democratic Party is splitting. It's splitting. Libs aren't going to vote for these candidates. The Democratic Party is splitting. Read my lips. The DSA is becoming the third party in America. This is how a third party split was going to happen. It would happen internally, and the Democratic Party is splitting.
Down in 2024, and they are extremely motivated to turn out in 2026. These are regular voters. They come from inside the tent. These are not infiltrated.
I'm an American. I live here. What? What do you mean? Like, are you not seeing what's happening? What do you mean I'm not telling you about New Zealand politics? Bro, people know about American politics because America's mass murdering children, buddy. We have to pay attention to American politics. In fact, we probably know more about American politics than you do. Because America is the most idiotic imperialist nation, and it's very important for us to understand American politics outside of America, because America has the bombs. America continues to mass murder children, and as long as that happens in a bipartisan way, the world is going to know about American politics. Like, Americans need to understand this. No matter how fragile you feel about other people around the world talking about your politics, America came to us, not the other way around. America is the racist government that has carried out so much mass murder. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Why are Americans so fucking fragile about other people talking about their politics? Like, get over it. Either change your government and change your policies, or shut the fuck up.
These are Democrats who have been voting Democratic for a long period of time.
And this isn't just about a label, you think, either.
No, it's not just about a label. Just take a look nationally. Okay, net favorable among Democratic voters. Zohran Mamdani, I'm not sure there's a better-known Democratic socialist nationwide besides Bernie Sanders, plus 56 points. Look at that. Chuck Schumer at just plus 14 points. Democratic socialism is the name of the game right now in Democratic primaries. And you see, Zohran Mamdani, quite popular, especially compared to Chuck Schumer. You would think that Democrats would be able to take advantage and be dominating Republicans when it comes to who is trusted to handle the Iran war. That, simply put, is not the case at all. I mean, these numbers are quite...
See, that rhyme person is most likely a lib. This is the thing about fragility, right? They never, ever talk about what's pissing them off. They're probably a lib. They got pissed off because they feel some sort of privilege that they have because they can vote in American politics. But they've been voting in the two-party system, not talking about any of the injustices America. They probably were like, they were probably one of those people when people called Kamala Harris, when people were saying Kamala Harris was committing genocide, they were probably one of those people who were saying, oh, but she was vice president. She doesn't have any power.
surprising. Trust Dems or Republicans on Iran. According to CNBC earlier this month, you'd think, okay, that's one poll. The Republicans trusted by 2 points. But then CBS News comes out yesterday, and what do you see? You see the exact same thing. Trump and the Republicans take the cake. They are trusted by 2 points on Iran. Now, one poll is one thing, but you put the two of them together, and you can see that the American people, simply put, are not buying what Democrats are selling on Iran.
Maybe they bought an I'm speaking t-shirt. Bro, you tried to shut down discourse, Rhyme. You tried to shut down discourse about American politics because you think you know better. That is liberal bullshit. Shut the fuck up. America is an imperialist nation committing war crimes around the world. And what you need to understand is people are going to know. People are going to continue to speak about American politics whether you like it or not. Yeah, so why the fuck are you saying that you know better about American politics than anybody when I'm not saying anything contestable here? The DSA is going to create a rift in the Democratic Party. It already has. The DSA is the third party. Like, it's insane. Insane to deny that.
Iran, they still trust Republicans more, even if you look at President Trump's approval ratings on the subject, and they're -2, but yet Republicans and Trump still more trust.
I'm not misreading it, bro. I know they're running using a Democratic platform, but the Democrats hate it. The libs will sabotage. You will see. The libs will try as hard as possible to sabotage the DSA. They will do they will 1000% do it. And I think this is a big moment in American politics. Like, what are you not understanding? Which leftist movement is in America has gained popularity and momentum like the DSA, bro? Tell me, which leftist movement has gained as much popularity as the DSA and the way the DSA has gained popularity? You tell me, historically speaking. Especially one that is seen as anti-American in nature, because the DSA is being seen as anti-American by the Democratic and Republican Party.
Than Democrats are in Iran.
Has there been any change over time?
No, and this is even more surprising, right? You might think, okay, as the war has gone on and on and on, you might think, hey, the Democrats would be gaining ground in terms of trust that the American people would give them on Iran. If anything, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Trust Democrats or Republicans more in Iran. In April, according to a Washington Post Ipsos poll, the Democrats were more trusted by 2 points. Again, close margin, no clear leader. But look where the shift has been. If anything, the shift has been in the Republican direction. Now the Republicans and Donald Trump are trusted more by 2 points on Iran. So, again, over the course of the war, if anything, the Republicans have been the one.
No, Rhyme, you know about American politics. Tell me when a leftist movement has made an impact like the DSA is currently in American politics. Tell me. Tell me in American history, when has a leftist, the Wobblies did. Okay, bro, I need to fact check this fucking dude. Like a century ago, the Wobblies. Okay, man. Yeah.
Ones that have been.
Where is this like the DSA? It's not like the DSA. There's been leftist movements. Bro, there's been leftist movements in America, but not like the DSA. What are you talking about? You just fucking said bullshit. The Wobblies were nothing like the DSA. Where has there been no, where has there been a bigger impact than what the DSA is doing right now? Especially to America. You're wrong, bro. You're absolutely wrong. It's not the same thing.
Gaining ground, which I think just goes so opposed to all of the news coverage that we have seen so far, and all of, the media. You would think, hey, but no, the American people are actually trusting the Republicans and Trump. If anything,
I actually don't care if it's a 100-year-old thing. I don't give a fuck if it's a 100-year-old thing. This is not the same as what the DSA is doing at all, in terms of winning seats, in terms of winning governor races. In terms of like upending democratic, the neoliberal control. Of course they're different. It never ever made impacts like what the DSA is doing right now. Bro, you're doing it again. Like, this is what I mean. It never ever made. I asked you, my question was, has there been a leftist movement like the DSA? And you said the fucking Wobblies, bro.
more now than they were, so let's say, halfway through the war.
So how possible is it that part of this is just that Americans don't like Democrats in Congress much at all?
Yeah, I think this is a big part of it. The Democratic Party in the minds of the American public are weak, to quote the great Tony Blair. I mean, just look at this. Just look at these net approval ratings of Democrats in Congress. In late February, at the beginning of the war, it was minus 41 points, minus 39, minus 39. And so you're just looking at these numbers right here, and you go to yourself, no wonder what's going on at this point, that Democrats simply put cannot take the ball and run with it and actually in the polls be trusted more than run, because the Democrats in Congress simply put are not well liked. In fact, these are the three lowest on record in terms of percentage points for the approval for Democrats in Congress. So it all puts together a picture. Donald Trump and Republicans may not be like, but Democrats.
Why? Fuck. This person, Rhyme, is exactly the same as that person from yesterday who will not fucking admit that they're full of shit. And they point out a movement that has nothing to do with what the DSA is doing or the conversation we're having. We're talking about a political party that is splitting. We're talking about a political party that is splitting because the DSA candidates are winning. No matter how much money the Democrats are putting in, the jive turkey dude. No matter how much money the Democrats are putting into the liberal Democrats are putting into these races, it's not working. What do you not understand about that? It's a massive split. It's a huge split. What do you mean, fuck them Lib Dems, bro? They're a huge part of America's voting bloc.
Democrats in Congress are really hated. Highest disapproval ratings for Trump. Back in January of 2021, that was his term one high, and that was 62% of Americans after January 6th disapproving of the job that President Trump was doing. Take a look here now. The latest poll, 66%, 2 in 3 Americans disapprove.
America has not had a leftist movement that is winning power like the DSA. This Wobblies isn't that. A leftist, socialist movement that is fundamentally for people winning power in America. This is a huge huge movement in American history. It just hasn't existed. No, but the Wobblies didn't win power, bro. What are you not understanding? The Wobblies didn't win political power like the DSA is.
Of the job that President Trump is doing. That is the highest ever recorded by CNN for President Trump in either of his 2 terms, and more than that, independence of the name of the game. And get this, my little note to me right here, 7.
The DSA is fundamentally threatening private interest. The DSA is threatening capital. Like, what do you not understand? Like, with power, with political power. Yeah, I know they're 2 different things, buddy. That's why your comparison was bullshit.
%, of independents disapprove of the job that President Trump is doing. As I said, breaking records in all the wrong ways. Now, it's not just President Trump in terms of breaking records when we compare him to himself. What about bringing other presidents into the equation? Well, take a look here. Okay.
No, it's not, bro. Nothing changed, Rhyme. Like, that's the thing. How is it more impressive? Nothing changed. America remained a capitalist cesspool. Like, what are you talking about?
Disapprove of job in CNN polls at this point in term number 2. We mentioned President Trump. 66% of Americans disapprove of the job that he is doing. Well, for Barack Obama at this point in term number 2, it was just 55%. George W. Bush, who...
The noisy immigrant, allow me to steal, man, their perspective. As a revolutionary communist, they probably more so mean they don't really have much faith in reformism and electoralism. From their perspective, their solution probably has more to do with organizing and building parallel power structures outside the reformist and electoral strategies. I think you're both talking past each other. Yeah, no, I understand. All I said was this is a third-party moment because the ideologies of the DSA and establishment Democrats are completely different. The establishment Democratic Party is probably closer to what the Republican Party is now than I think it's been closer to the Republican Party than any leftist movement ever in American history. Like, both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have protected capital, private interests. Like, what do we not understand? No one is attacking you. Oh my gosh, man. Fuck, why are these people like this, bro? They raise an argument. You raised an argument. We had a guy exactly like you yesterday raised an argument. I refuted it and explained why. I explained why, and then you said, no, you're wrong. You should stop talking about American politics like you know it better than me. And you insulted me, and now you want me to move on. Like, what the fuck is that?
Was really struggling at this point as the Iraq War wore on back in 2006. Get this, 59% of Americans disapproved of the job that he was doing. So President Trump, we can say at this point, has the highest disapproval rating of any American president this century at this point in terms.
Keep talking. Oh, thank you for your permission, Rhyme. Yeah, I really needed it.
Number 2. Now, President Trump's ratings are obviously quite poor, but is there any optimism for the future from Americans? In a word, Max, no, there isn't. Take a look here. Okay, feelings about rest of Trump's term number 2. Well, Back in December of 2024, just before he took office, look at this. Most Americans were enthusiastic or optimistic about term number 2 for President Trump. The majority were 52%. 48% said they were pessimistic or afraid. Look at that pessimistic or afraid number. That percentage up like a rocket. Now it is 2 in 3 Americans aren't just disapproving of Trump right now. They lack optimism. They're pessimistic or afraid for the rest of Trump's term number 2. Compare that to just 1 in 3 Americans who are enthusiastic or optimistic.
Tells me to shut up and dribble and then acts like the victim. Come on. People aren't stupid, Rhyme.
Showing a driver's license or a picture ID when you show up to vote at the polling place.
Yes.
What do voters say about that?
Yeah, overwhelming support for it. We've spoken about it before, and the polling really hasn't shifted all that much, and you can just see it right here. Okay, so we're talking about voters favoring photo ID to vote. Among all voters, we're talking 77%. And this is uniform, basically, or universal, I should say. Universal. Democrats, 62%. Independents, 77%. Republicans, 95%. This is something that is popular across the political spectrum. It is a rare thing that is popular across the political spectrum. When it comes to voter ID, the voters are with President Trump on this, whether they're Democrats, independents, or Republicans. Overall, very clear. We're talking about 3 in 4 overall who support the idea of photo ID in order to vote.
Even 62% of Democrats show an ID when you show up to vote. Now, showing a very specific ID when you register to vote, proof of citizenship like a passport, birth certificate, or real ID, which not every state has. How do voters feel about that?
Yeah, okay, so I think this might be a little bit more in the eye of the beholder. Johnny and I were talking about this. So document proving citizenship to vote. What you can see here is, again, it's clear the majority are for it. The majority are with President Trump here. We're talking about 54% of Americans. We've seen this in poll after poll after poll. It is lower than the voter ID, but it is clear. You get that 54% who support it. You get 37% opposed, which is a sizable minority, but definitely lower than the majority. And then among independents, which is a group that President...
This is, right, this is what you sound like. This is what you sound like.
Crossing points. I really resent that. Have you been to the crossing points? I really resent that form of argumentation. When were you last there at all?
Sure.
I really resent it. You should at least do the courtesy of visiting it. This is not an attractive invitation. I think it's a good idea to see stuff, particularly if you spend a career talking about something. I have the right to talk about whatever the hell I want. And no one's going to stop me or try to intimidate me. And I think that if I said to somebody else the other way around, it would be equally reprehensible. I have a journalistic rule of trying never to talk about a country even in passing unless I've at least been there.
Have you been there? Have you been to America? Have you been there? Have you been to the ballots? Have you seen the papers? Have you seen the papers that we tick? You don't know anything. Do you know what pens we use when we tick the boxes?
Trump has really struggled with. You still see it here, right? You see the majority of it, or the plurality of independents, 49% supporting the idea of needing document proving citizenship to vote, 49% versus 38% who are opposed. So whether it's overall or independents, yes, the support is lower than it is for photo ID, but it is very clear that the majority of people are in fact for it.
It's definitely a majority. It's still...
Stop gatekeeping. Rhyme? Don't gatekeep. This is the problem with leftism. It's gatekeeping, especially white leftism. Gatekeeping. It is a terrible thing to do. How is the Democratic Party splitting? DSA has about 150,000 total members and 100 elected members compared to the Democratic Party. That's not a split. Not yet. It's not a split yet. But the Democrats, the establishment Dems, are starting to see what's happening. It is a fundamental movement, a grassroots movement, and it's unstoppable. No amount of money can stop it. No amount of money can stop it. Like, that's what you're seeing here. Because what's happened is genocide has made people see that there are more issues that their own personal issues are impacted when foreign policy is broken. Right? The thing that the political class isn't realizing is how deeply destroyed the social fabric they once had spent so much time and money to create has completely been decimated. Like, this is a global thing. The social fabric that mainstream media, that elites, the billionaire class, the political class has spent
New follower detected.
has spent so long establishing, training us to adhere to, is decimated. It's decimated right now. And the political class is just trying to move on from it as quickly as possible. The political class is trying to move forward from this as quickly as possible with very little impact. But the damage is done, guys. The damage is done. Historical changes are happening right in front of your faces. But it isn't a one election thing. It isn't all going to change in one election cycle. Just like after World War II, European colonization didn't end. It just weakened over time. The control that Europe and the West had over the world started to diminish over time after World War II. Right? And it's still diminishing today. These are important moments in history. And recognizing transformational moments is important. The thing is, if you're looking for overnight solutions, then it's not going to happen. Or overnight changes, it's not going to happen. We're too used to 7-second videos. Change takes time. Change takes time. This is a couple of decades down the line. Both parties are using an old playbook that no longer works in the era of social media when information moves so quickly. Yeah, I agree. Social media has been one of those tools that has completely destroyed our the way the social fabric used to be. We're going to live with this for at least 20 years. More. This is fundamental change. It's changed geopolitics already. It's changed geopolitics. Geopolitical power has fundamentally changed in the last 3 years. And it's Donald Trump has accelerated the decline of Western hegemony. But it's not over. Like, the US dollar's power has been impacted, but it's going to stay for a few more decades. Okay, so you got to understand that I think Americans, the best way to change your situation and have a real leftist movement, like a movement focused on worker rights, etc., is to start thinking beyond the 4-year election cycle and build long-term sustainable movements. Because 4-year election cycles will not change anything for you. It's got to be 15, 20 years. Minimum, I would say. And as I've said before, you have to include indigenous people in that movement. You have to include indigenous people in that movement. The more and you have to center indigenous people. The more you avoid the real conversation and you talk about the way the electoral system is now, the more, nothing's going to happen. But there are moments that you need to see and have a little bit of perspective that actually this moment is more than just our electoral politics, which I think is what's happening in the DSA. Like, this is my honest opinion that the DSA is your opportunity to move past the two-party, 4-year presidential election cycle where in those 4 years, it's just the same constant bullshit. Same constant bullshit, rinsed and repeated over and over again. But ultimately, you end up with a bunch of oligarchs being supported by your tax dollars and a whole bunch of children being mass murdered using your tax dollars. Nothing has changed. American imperialism is still very imperialistic. So you can't keep looking at these 4-year cycles and thinking this is how the world should be. Like it's just not. America's causing a lot of pain to the world. Like you have to acknowledge that, and you have to build movements that are sustainable for long periods of time.
Still not the 80% for voter ID when you show up to vote with the photo there. This is showing proof of citizenship to register there. There are voting, public interest groups who say not everyone has access to a passport or real ID or birth certificate. What are the numbers there?
Yeah, okay. So again, this is a bit in the eye of the beholder. Okay, can produce citizenship proof to vote, like a passport or birth certificate. Very easily or with some effort, but still pretty easily, 90%. So the lion's share, and this I think is part of the reason why the idea of producing a document to vote is so popular.
By the way, as a brown person who's ethnically Indian, I can guarantee, I'll say this very quickly. Karl Marx, a white European, is not going to tell me how to deal with oppression. Okay? Karl Marx, talking about the oppression of, his views being fucking none of these fucking white Europeans are going to be telling me about how oppression works. Okay, so stop bringing up Marx and Lenin as some justification for whatever revolutionary bullshit you think is going to happen, because it doesn't matter how many times you read. It doesn't matter how many times you recite the Communist Manifesto, you will be no closer to understanding the Vietnamese struggle, nor will you be any closer to understanding the Chinese struggle or Mao's struggle than anything, okay? Because those people were deeply, deeply marginalized and oppressed. Your Marxism doesn't bring you any closer to what those people experienced. And Africans too. So please stop LARPing as some marginalized person, using white Europeans to dictate how the world should be. Let's be real.
Is because most people think they can do it, at least with some effort or very easily. But there is this 10% who say hard, can't, or unsure, Johnny B.
Rhyme. It doesn't make a difference whether you're Mexican or whoever. You're still your whole worldview seems to be under this under this model that Karl Marx built. All I'm telling you is just understand that Marx had a lot of limitations, i.e., he was a white man with a lot of privilege.
In terms of that, and then I would just note, just in terms of the chance that it becomes, I think that 10% very much like this number, though, because the chance that the SAVE Act becomes law before January 4th, 2027, it's just a 7% chance. Just a 7% chance. So the American people are with it, but it's unlikely going to happen.
Yeah. So, please, Western leftism just needs to understand that when the global South is rising, it's not going to rise because of Marxism. It's going to rise because of deeply marginalized communities taking control of their own lives. It's and people keep bringing fucking Marx and Lenin and shit. These people had so much privilege, man. Okay, let's talk a little bit about AI debt. I do wanna talk about it. Young people go through Marx phase. It's okay. They grow out of it. No, I don't mind the equitable nature of any. This is why I am not. My goal is to contribute towards building a more equitable world for all. Okay, that's my end goal. Whatever we use to get to that point, like, let's do it. I just don't like to say, okay, this is the only way the world works, and then like stick to it like it's the only model. I want to see progress towards a more equitable world for all. Like, that's all. I want to be hyper focused on that. Yeah, I agree. And that's how it should be, read and rap. That's how it should be. It is not a Bible. It is not a Bible, right? Like, I feel like there are white leftism in particular treats Marx as a Bible. And it becomes a tool for gatekeeping. It's not easy to educate people on Marxist theory, right? You can't. You can't do it in... And we can't gatekeep. And also a lot of leftists in the West forget the role of white supremacy and white privilege. Yeah, but is Marxist theory what we need to be educating people about, man? Like, come on. A white man in Europe writing anything about social change is gonna miss a huge part of society. Come on.
As you probably already know, in the past couple of years, AI-adjacent companies, some of which were once flush with cash, have had to borrow absurd amounts of money to finance their AI investments.
I finished Frantz Fanon's Black Skin, White Masks. I think that's the book. That's the title of the book. But I finished that recently, and I can tell you, he brings up Marxism very little in that book.
Just the first 7 months of 2026, US tech companies have already borrowed more than $300 billion, and JP Morgan expects them to issue an additional $200 billion before this year is done. This would take the total issuance to about $500 billion, which would account for 20% of all debt issued in US markets this year. To put this in context, in the build-up to the dot-com bubble...
I get your read and rap. I get you. It's just this... this ultimatum that I feel some leftists put on Marxist theory. I just despise it, because it does nothing but push people away.
Tech-related debt peaked at 14% of total issuance. So this implies that AI spending is ramping up faster than in any other comparable historical episode, including the railway boom. However, it turns out this is only the tip of the iceberg, and the AI companies have been using a whole load of financial trickery to borrow trillions more off book. So in this video, we're going to explain how these companies are able to effectively hide trillions of dollars of debt, and what risks this might present for the sector as a whole.
Anyone who starts to like gatekeep or whatever, like, you should always... I think there's a question there. The only thing also in India, communism was used as a tool for fascism. What are you talking about? India has been very neoliberal in nature. Was it a question? No, it hasn't. Hindutva is fascistic in nature. It's right-wing. Hindu nationalism has been the most powerful tool in Indian politics.
Which flag is better, Canada or Iceland? How about Japan or Mexico, Albania or Barbados? How about a Battle of the Dragons, Wales or Bhutan? Cast your vote in our official flag ranking survey by clicking the link in the description. So,
like Hindu nationalists in India borrowed directly from Mussolini and Hitler. Like the clothes they wear. Look up the RSS, Rashtriya Savayam Sevak Sangh. The RSS is like a Hindu nationalist militia. They wear the Mussolini hats and they wear the brown khaki trousers of Hitler's SA/SS. SA more than anything else. Yeah, all derivatives of European fascism. It's yeah, India can do with a bit of with a bit of socialism / the Chinese model of state controlled capitalism. In India, one family has as much wealth as 10% of India's GDP. Like that shouldn't be possible in a country like India.
This story sort of began last week when Nikkei published a report which claimed that 5 of the biggest AI-adjacent companies in the US, namely Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and Oracle, were hiding an additional $1.65 trillion in off-the-book debts, more than the roughly $1.35 trillion of debt that they've explicitly admitted to on their balance sheets. This was all confirmed by another investigation by Bloomberg published at about the same time, which found that, like its fellow tech giants, Nvidia also had more off than on-book debt. Now, you might assume that shady financing is the norm among big US corporations, but while there always has been a bit of it going on, the volume of hidden debt has ballooned over the past couple of years, and unsurprisingly, most of this increase can be attributed to AI.
It's not just you though, Nalda. It's many people have very backward opinions of India. But you gotta understand what Britain did to India was so massively destructive, and they left India by drawing arbitrary lines and borders, which continues to keep India in a very divided place. The British have done so much harm to India, like it's unfathomable. It's huge amounts. Just so you understand, just one stat should tell you a lot. Before Britain got to India, India's share of global trade was 26%, more than all of Europe. After India gained independence in 1947, that share of global trade had dropped to 3%. No, you don't understand. Not like Somaliland, Arnalda. India was a manufacturing juggernaut. And Britain went in there and murdered hundreds of millions of people. And completely stripped the country for parts and just left. And drew lines and left. And even after all of that, India is like the 3rd largest or 4th largest economy, 5th largest, I think. So you got to understand what Britain did to India is so unique in its violence and theft. Oh, it's heaps more. Like that 100 million number. That 100 million number is just 40 years. From 1880 to 1920. Some estimates put the amount of excess debts due to starvation via British policies to 100 million. In some cases, 165 million. You don't understand what white people did in India. They fucking murdered a lot of my ancestors, like a lot. And the fact that Hindu nationalism glazes like fucking Britain and Europe is just nasty.
related costs. There are two main methods by which these companies have been able to, quote-unquote, hide this debt. The first is via what are known as long-term purchase agreements, which are basically when, instead of borrowing money in order to buy something, you commit to buying something in the future. This still creates a debt-like liability. After all, you now owe someone money in the future, but you don't have to chalk it down as a loan on your balance sheet. In the context of the AI boom/bubble, these long-term purchase agreements are mainly used for chips, with lots of AI companies committing.
What has been done to Africa and India in particular, like the scale of both of those is unfathomable. It's like Africa still hasn't really had any sovereignty within its borders. India has some level of sovereignty. India has a nuke. Africa still being looted. Like the extent of the violence, the extent of the theft, the extent of white supremacist violence, unfathomable.
To buying some very expensive high-end chips in the future. Nvidia, for instance, has $119 billion in binding, non-cancelable future purchase obligations, primarily with manufacturing.
Many of their resistance fighters were Sikhs. Yeah, Sikhs were kind of the protectors, I guess. Like Sikh history, I am very, very sort of, I'm not educated enough about Sikh history. It's one thing I do want to learn a lot about. Yeah, incredibly brave people.
Partners like TSMC for bespoke production capacity for Nvidia's own chips. The second and slightly scarier method is via what are known as lease agreements, which are basically when a company agrees to rent something for a fixed period of time. Under US accounting laws, public companies only have to report each rent payment as a cash outflow, not the total amount that they've committed to spend over the course of the lease. For instance, imagine I want to build a data center that costs $10 billion, and I need to borrow money to afford it. I could just borrow the money and build it, but that would require me to take out a big...
Mozambique, where I came from, situation is very sad, yeah. Mozambique, yeah, for sure. I think it was like Mozambique's vice president, I can't remember his name, in the 60s said, if we don't take care of our independence well, colonizers will come back as investors. There's a really, really nice quote from a political
loan, which, if I'm a public company, I would have to report on my next quarterly earnings. So instead, I might get another company to basically build the data center for me, even if they'll probably have to take out a loan themselves, and then enter a long-term lease agreement with said company to pay them the $10 billion, and probably a bit extra to compensate them for the risk, in quarterly installments over the next 10 years. In this scenario, I would still effectively owe this company at least $10 billion, but I wouldn't have to...
What? Trump says he's canceling strikes on Iran subject to rapidly making deal? What?
They don't know what the they're doing.
Oh, taco! Taco, baby!
Thank you, friends.
Market manipulation. Oh my gosh. They shot the fighter jet down almost Monday. Yeah. Sounds a bit like market manipulation, doesn't it?
I want to be a good boy.
There's a tweet. Oh, this is Tweeta Parsi. Nice. Thank you. KP's on Twitch. The USA is locked and loaded and ready to go against the Islamic Republic of Iran at levels of military terror, strength, and power not seen since World War II. Despite this, we have just been asked by Iran and other Middle Eastern countries to hold off any attack in that the perimeters of the deal has been agreed to. This would include the immediate, complete, and total opening of the Hormuz Strait and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. Based on this request, I have agreed for the future benefit of the world and likewise the survival of a successful and prosperous Iran to cancel the attack, subject to being able to rapidly make a deal. The country of Israel joins me in this commitment. Get to work, everybody, and get it done. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. What is he talking about? Did he just call himself Germany in World War II? Just one thing about World War II that I want everyone to understand. The reason why denazification didn't really work was because the whole of Europe was just full of white supremacists. Europe, because of its anti-Semitism, inherent anti-Semitism, didn't actually disagree with what Hitler was doing, because Europe didn't, like UK, for example, the United Kingdom, for example, didn't declare war against Hitler because of anti-Semitism, or because of what Hitler was doing to the Jews. The United Kingdom declared war on Germany because they saw that sovereignty could be lost. I see Churchill as the very same kind of racist as Hitler.
To admit it in my reports. I would only have to admit that I spent $250 million this quarter.
So Donald Trump, it doesn't matter which side Donald Trump takes, they're all the fucking same to me.
As part of the lease agreement, which obviously sounds a lot better than I borrowed $10 billion for another big data center. Big AI companies also offer what are known as credit backstops to these intermediary companies.
So it's like, you know that scene where the Hulk is like, where someone asks the Hulk in the Avengers, like, hey, so how can you control it so well now? How can you control becoming Hulk so well? And the Hulk turns around and says, I'm always angry. It's kind of like that. It's like, oh, why did denazification not work? They were all Nazis. Was Germany going to invade the UK? Yeah. Absolutely. That's what they wanted to do.
In other words, they promised them that if the intermediary company runs out of money or is unable to borrow more, they'll step in to cover them. Again, this creates a liability, but one that
the Battle of Britain is what you want to investigate, what you want to learn about. The Battle of Britain, the Luftwaffe tried to bomb the crap out of Britain. It tried to bomb the crap out of Britain into submission. But Hermann Goering was a dumbass, as all fascists are, really stupid, and he fucked up really badly.
You don't have to admit on your balance sheet. These lease agreements have become increasingly popular in recent years. Oracle, for instance, has an eye-watering $260 billion of future lease commitments that will eventually land on its books, which is a lot of hidden debt for a company with $67 billion in annual revenue, and was one of the big reasons that its credit rating was downgraded earlier this month. Anyway, you get the idea. These big AI companies are increasingly relying on slightly...
The Germans were basically meth heads and morphine addicts and all of that. Like, Hitler took all of them. That was Hitler's privilege, is he had access to all the drugs. Hitler only gave the meth to their soldiers.
dodgy off-book techniques to finance their investments. Growing awareness of all of this might explain why their borrowing costs are apparently on the up. This is why in its upcoming funding round for a new 1 gigawatt data center project in Texas, which Meta is essentially financing via the sort of lease agreement we described a second ago, Meta and its intermediaries have had to offer yields of up to 7.5% to find creditors, up from the 7.1% they had to offer only 9 months ago.
Bro, Churchill isn't a Zionist. Churchill is a white supremacist. Churchill sponsored Zionism. See, this is what I mean. Like, you got to understand the levels to this. White supremacy created or backed and grew Zionism. Just like white supremacy encouraged Hindu nationalism in India as well. Just like white supremacy has encouraged a lot of fascist movements around the world. White supremacy has given birth to a lot of fascist movements because usually fascist leaders are puppets. And yeah, they're easy to control, especially for the West. Like, look at what's happening in Latin America. Look at Operation Condor. Look at what happened in Latin America and what's happening now in Latin America. All these right-wing fascists like Bukele, the tiger in Colombia. Is it in Colombia he just won? Yeah. Like the whole of Latin America is going right-wing. I mean, Javier Milei, Chile just went right-wing. Honduras. All of these right-wingers are coming to power because America's making it happen. The United States is... It's so funny to hear it like that. Yeah, he calls himself the tiger or something, right? Cast in Chile is literally a son of a Nazi. Yeah, Chile had Pinochet back in the day. Yes, and Bolivia as well has gone right wing. Like Latin America is going right wing en masse because Marco Rubio is in there like swimwear. He's getting in there and he's doing the propaganda. Now they're trying to get at Brazil with Bolsonaro's son. Now they're trying to get into Brazil to unseat Lula. Like, guys, this is insane amounts of, like, these patterns are continuing, and the core of the problem, the core of the control comes from the United States. The core of it comes from the United States. Don't forget Kristi Noem, Strategic South American Liaison. Yeah. And don't be wooed by people like Scheinbaum. Scheinbaum is still buying weapons from Israel, you know? Be careful. This is why I will always say, don't be so wooed by governments. Don't be so wooed by people in power. When you start, following personalities, you need to stop yourself. You need to stop yourself and understand that political power with a few personalities is a really bad thing. If you're voting for personality, you're fucked.
To find funding for their Hyperion data center in Manhattan. Similarly, this might also explain why the cost of insuring 5-year bonds issued by big AI companies has spiked in the past couple of days. Oracle looks particularly shaky here, with credit default swaps on Oracle jumping to 2.12% last week, which means that it costs $212,000 a year to insure $10 million of Oracle bonds against default. Now, as a final thing, it's worth stressing that not all AI companies
personality, you end up with a Trump, or worse, you end up with someone like Kamala who tells you, Kamala or Obama, who make you feel comfortable as they carry out mass murder overseas. At least with Donald Trump, you can see the fascist. You know he's a fascist. I mean, it's not good, but he's a fascist. But Kamala Harris is the wolf. Like Malcolm X said, they'll pretend to be on your side and then they'll eat your face.
are equally dependent on dodgy debt, or equally exposed to any increase in AI-related borrowing costs. Companies like Alphabet and Meta, which are proven moneymakers with diversified revenue streams, are obviously less exposed than companies like Oracle, which are more aggressively leveraged and more singularly dependent on AI-related revenues. However, while they're hard to actually measure quantitatively, there are clearly lots of so-called contagion risks. In other words, if one company goes down, this could take others down with it. This is in part because it would undermine investor confidence in the industry as a whole, but also because, more directly, there's a sort of circular financing going on, which means that one company going under would have very direct consequences on the balance sheet of its neighbors. Now, this is a huge story, and I can imagine that you felt pretty helpless by the headlines recently. And trust us, so have we. And that's not just because we want a comforting story.
I actually have a haircut in like 15 minutes. I'm going to be looking pretty slick tonight when I come back on the live. I'm going to be looking pretty young. So I better get ready to go to this haircut. It's always a pleasure to have these conversations with you guys. I will be back at 8 p.m.-ish, and we'll go through the evening news. But guys, I didn't cover so much. Ended up follower detected. Talking my ass off. You know who's acceptable bounds? She has done a lot of good within the acceptable bounds, yeah. Paramount Warner Brothers merger has been put on pause since many states have filed to stop it. Yeah, I did see that, but it's not stopped. I think there needs to be a decision. Friday dump was crazy this week. Oh, Rhizome. I haven't raided Rhizome in such a long time. Let's raid Rhizome, shall we? Folks, I love all of you. I'll see you later on in the evening. Please stay safe. Look after yourselves. Thank you so much for your support and being here and listening and contributing, arguing, discussing, everything. Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate this community. Thank you for being here. Take care. Kakite, everybody. And I will see you all soon, okay? Quick update on Ginger. We're going to go see him today. Today is kind of D-Day. He's doing well. I spoke to the vet a little bit earlier about how he's going. He still has to poo, but apparently after surgeries, it takes a while for dogs to poo. I just want to see him take the most enormous dump, and I'll feel great about the whole thing. But here we go, everybody. Raid time. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the raid, folks. Enjoy. Oh, what the? Okay, I can't seem to raid now. 6, 5, 4. See you all, raiders. Take care. And thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Kakite TikTok, Kakite YouTube, Kakite Facebook. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Pecky. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon. Kakite. Free Palestine.